lesson. It's a new week. Happy Monday. Final stretch before half term. We're going to get started with our do now straight away. So there we go. Right. Your do now is you are going to underline the multiples of 4 and circle the multiples of 6. Now remember, a multiple is the product result, so the answer of one number multiplied by another. So all the numbers in that times table. Remember our example. A multiple of 2 is 14 because 7 groups of 2, 7 times 2 is equal to 14. Then your challenge is to find another number which is a multiple of both 6 and 4. So a number which is in both the 6 times table and the 4 times table, which is not listed above here. So grab a piece of paper and press pause to get on with your task. And when you're ready, press play because we're going to get on with the lesson straight away. Fantastic. Let's take a look at these answers for our do now. So we are going to circle the multiples of 6 and underline the multiples of 4. So in the best way to deal with this, to tackle this task is just to maybe, for example, skip count through the 4 or skip count through the 6 or write them both down, and then you'll see which ones are in each times table. So you can see here that we got, for example, looking at the number 6 is circled because obviously 6 is in the 6 times table. 12 is the multiple of 6 and 4. 3 groups of 4 is equal to 12. 2 groups of 6 is equal to 12. 18, 3 times 6. Then we've got 24. 24 is the same as 6 times 4 and 4 times 6, so commutative, it's in both times table. Equation there. 30, 5 times 6, 36, 9 times 4 and 6 times 6. And then finally your challenge to find one more number which is a multiple of 6 and 4. That answer is 48. 12 times 4 is 48 and 8 groups of 6 is equal to 48. Fantastic. That's a good little task. We're going to be doing some of those maybe over the coming week as well, because they just get you thinking about what numbers are in the same times table. Therefore, you're building up your knowledge of what is in those timetables, the different multiples. So let's look at our steps to success. So today we're going to be using doubles to multiply by 8. So we're going to be using a lot of the same strategies as we used in our lesson when we were looking at doubles to multiply by 6, but we're going to be applying them for our 8 times table. So we're going to use our knowledge today of the 4 times table to relate it to the 8 times table. We're going to use arrays again to compile multiplication and division facts about the 8 times table. So let's look at our star words. We have inverse, array, commutative, times, which is the same as multiply, groups of, and then we have divide and shared equally. Fantastic. I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am now going to go to my visualizer because we're going to go and start exploring how we can use doubles to multiply by 8. This step might look quite familiar. So here we have 2 groups. We have 2 groups, and in each group there are amount of cubes. In each group there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 2 equal groups, and in each group there are 4 cubes. Remember when we've looked at our star words, and we've looked at this quite a few times, the word groups of is the same as what? It's the same as multiply or times. So 2 groups of 4. 2 groups of 4, well, that's our 4 times table. 4, 8. As well as saying this is 2 groups of 4, we can say, obviously, with our repeated addition, we can say it's 4 add 4. Now, I'm going to double the amount of cubes. So no longer, I'm not going to have 4 cubes in my groups anymore. I'm now going to have 8 cubes in my group. I'm going to have 8 cubes in my group. I'm just going to write here green, so we know what we had to start off with. So I've now got 8 cubes in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've doubled the value of each of my groups, each of my parts. We should be in our heads going, oh, this is quite familiar. So as I said, I've now got 8 in each of my groups. So I'm going to put green and red. So my multiplication equation for this, what I've got here, my 2 groups, 8 in each group. So I've got 2 groups of 8. It would be 2 multiplied by 8, 2 times 8. We can also say that it's a repeated addition, just like we did with 4 add 4. This time it's 8 plus 8. So what is 2 groups of 8? Well, we can think about that rule we did before. We've doubled the value of one of our parts. That is going to double our product, which is what we call our answer in multiplication. So if we're going to double our product here, 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. Should we double check? Let's try and see if we can skip count in 8s. With me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16. So 8 add 8 is equal to 16. 2 groups of 8 is equal to 16. I know this because I know the commutative equation to this, because it's in my 2 times table, because 8 groups of 2 is equal to 16. We know that already. That is a fact we learn probably in year 1, definitely in year 2. So here again, have we seen our old pattern that we learnt about in our last lesson? When we double the value of one of the parts, the product also doubles. So I'm going to go back to my flip. So this just puts in on our screen what we have just been talking about. So the double, when we double, so double, remember, is the same as times 2, the value of one of the parts of our multiplication, the value of the whole doubles. So here is one of my parts. This is what I've doubled. So we know 2 times 4 is equal to 8. I've doubled my part 4 to 8. So 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Then that means my product, my answer, or my whole, has also doubled. Interesting. Let's have a think. Here. When we double the value of one part, the value of the whole doubles. Is this always true? So here we're looking at linked to the 4 times table. In each time here, I can see that I'm always doing 4 groups. So the value of my part here is, there are 4 groups, and I've actually only managed to draw 3 groups. So let's just draw another one there. So each time here, I have 4 groups. So I have 4 parts, and each time I'm going to be doubling the value of my part. I'll just label that so we know that's our part. Again, thinking about repeated addition, we add one of these parts and it makes our whole. So 4 times 2 is 8. We know that 4 times 2 is 8. 4 groups of 2 is equal to 8. 4 groups of 4 is equal to 16. Oh, we should be seeing our pattern again. We've doubled one of our parts, and it's made our product larger. Let's have a look at another example. 4 times 5, 4 groups of 5 is equal to 20. Now, here we've got our part has been doubled. Can we work out, what do we think, whether our whole gets doubled? And we should know our 4 times table well enough to be able to do this. Let's skip count together. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. The answer is 40. It's not 30, it's 40. Oh dear. The answer is 40, which means we have proved that this rule that we've been looking at makes sense. So we're going to now put this into practice with our 8 times table. Here's our 4 times table. We're going to go through our 8 times table. As I'm revealing, just focus on saying the 8 times table with me and skip counting. Then we're going to compare the 2 times tables side by side. So we're just going to skip count. So we're not going to say the whole equation. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96. Wow, we're getting almost to 100 with this times table. So can we see some similarities here? Let's choose another example which we haven't looked at. Let's look at 6 times 4. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted my highlighter. There we go. 6 times 4. 6 times 4 is equal to 24. I am going to look at then 6 groups of 8. 6 times 8. I've doubled the value of one of my parts. I've doubled the value of my 4. It is now 8. My answer is 48. 24 times 2, or 24 add 24, is equal to 48. Let's have another look at another one. 10 times 4 is equal to 40. So 10 groups of 4 is equal to 40. 10 groups of 8 is equal to 80. Can we see a nice pattern? Once we know our 4 times table, we are pretty much there with our 8 times table. Let's put it into practice by looking at some arrays. So here is an array. We looked at them yesterday. Remember, rows go across and columns go up. I'm just going to write that for us just to remember. So there are rows of How many rows do we have? Counting with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. There are 5 rows of how many in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 5 rows of 8. 5 rows of 8. We could say that there's 5 groups of 8 because each one of these rows we can consider is a group. So 5 groups of 8. Then let's have a look and see how many columns there are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 columns, and how many are in each column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I didn't even need to count that because of multiplication being commutative, which means the numbers can be any way around and you'll get the same answer. I should have known that it would have been 8 times 5, 8 groups of 5, but I just wanted to check using my array. So I'm going to skip count in 8s because that's my new times table, and I'm going to see if I can work out what 5 groups of 8 is equal to. Let's do it together. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. And 8 times 5, 8 groups of 5. Well, I know my 5 times table really well. 8 groups of 5 is equal to 40. Isn't commutativity and multiplication great? So we now know our multiplication facts. And as I said, we can look at it now on terms of division. Remember, division, we are dividing a whole. We have a whole in equal groups, or we're sharing it equally between equal groups. Now, I can see here, looking at my array, that I have 5 rows of 8. That means I have 40 is divided between 5 equal groups. And in each equal group, I'm going to have 8 counters in it, dots, etc. Then I am also going to be able to do this. Let me just get another colour so it shows it. I have here 8 columns, and in each 8 columns, which we can say is 8 groups, and in each group I have 5. Each group I have 5. So 40 divided by 8 and put into, or 40 shared between 8 equal groups would give me 5 in each group. So remember, an array will give you a lot of different facts. It will show you your commutativity in multiplication, and it also shows you your inverse. It's a fact family. It's a massive amount of knowledge in a few little coloured dots. Right, here is your chance to practice your array knowledge with your 8 times table. So remember, row is across and column goes up and down. Just remember that. That's not very good handwriting, is it? There we go, a bit better. So column goes up and down. So you have, there are rows of there are columns of Need to fill in the multiplication and division equations, so your commutative multiplication equations and the inverse. Again, grab a piece of paper, or you might just want to do them talking aloud and press pause to complete them. And when you're ready, press play. Fantastic. Now, I hope that wasn't too challenging for you to complete. Now, let's have a look at our array first. How many rows do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. How many do we have in each row? And this should be quite easy because if we think about what times table we're learning about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 4 rows of 8. That means I have 4 groups of 8. So how many columns do I have? You should be able to say, I'm going to make a guess that because I have 4 rows, I'm going to have 8 columns. So let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Absolutely, I have 8 columns. So if I've got 8 columns, how many am I going to have in each column? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Absolutely. Commutativity. Everyone's best friend with multiplication. So 8 columns of 4 is the same as 8 groups of 4. Let's skip count in our 8 times table to solve these equations. Solve the top equation. 8, 16, 24, 32. And the beauty of commutativity is that we already know the answer to 8 times 4 because it's 32. We should have known it anyway because we know our 4 times table. Right, again, division. Remember, our whole is 32, and we need to use our 2 multiplication equations to help us complete the division, so the inverse. So let's look at our top equation. 32 divided into 4 equal groups. There is 8 in each one of my groups. 32 shared equally between 8 groups is equal to 4. So if I had 32 cookies and I shared them between 4 children, each child would get 8 cookies. If I had 32 children and I had 8 cookies, they would get 4 cookies each. fractions and divisions and multiplication lend very well to food. Right, let's apply what we've learned today and put it into a word problem. In the garden, there are 6 spiders. Oof, I don't like spiders very much. Each of which have 8 legs. How many legs altogether do these 6 spiders have? So thinking back to what we did with our word problems last week, that word altogether suggests the idea of adding together. Then next part is write the multiplication equation linked to this problem. So we don't want to do an addition, we want to do a multiplication. Well, multiplication is simply repeated addition. So they work very, very similar together. So we have 6 spiders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to draw 6 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So imagine these are my spiders, creepy spiders. Now, I'm going to draw a dot. Each one of these dots is going to represent a leg. You could just draw a spider and with 8 legs if that's easier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, let's just quickly check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Can't have a spider with 9 legs. Dear. Let's just touch that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've now got my 6 groups of 8. I'm going to skip count in 8. I'm going to write the amount underneath to help us. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Okay, so the total number of legs they have is 48. So I've completed this part. I'm going to give myself a nice tick. But I haven't completed the second part of my question. Write the multiplication equation linked to this word problem. So what does my picture down here, imagine if it had been, what does my picture down here show? It shows how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It shows 6 groups of, remember that groups of is the same as the multiplication. How many in each group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 groups of 8, and I know 6 times 8 is equal to 48. Give myself a nice little tick. That is how it is. It works like that. If you know your 4 times table, you are on a very good route to knowing your 8 times table and thinking back to everything that we've done together over the last couple of weeks and last time about arrays, commutativity, inverse. This should be fairly straightforward for you. So your independent task is that you're going to use doubles to multiply by 8. So you have a number of different sums. These are all in times table that we're familiar with, so you might know the answers quite quickly because of commutativity. Then you have got, again, using the doubling rule that we looked at, for example, earlier in the lesson. So remember, when you double the value with one part, it is going to affect the value of the other part. So you can see there, I've doubled 4 times 4, I've got 4 times 8. So what do you need to do? You need to double, you need to double this to get the answer. Different colour, there we go. Double this to get a different answer. Why are you not giving me a different color highlighter? Double this to get the answer for this. So there, you just need to times 1 part by 2. Then you've got a picture, muffins. As I said, foodstuffs lend very well to multiplications and fractions. So you've got a picture below. Essentially, it's an array. You need to, it's like an array, but not quite. You need to use this picture to complete the fact family. So you need to say what 2 multiplications are shown and also the division. And then you've got a word problem linked to the 8 times table. Remember, draw out your groups if it's helpful, and remember you must write the multiplication equation which is used in the sentence, not the commutative one. As ever, there is a challenge. There is a attached to the task sheet. All you need is pen and paper. You don't have to print out the task sheet. Looking forward to seeing your answers on Seesaw, and have a fantastic rest of the day, Year 3, and speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye.